Like a Hellcat. Like a hell. Like a Hellcat.
Fire makes no city lives around. Close your eyes and just stay tight. We have to go. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me.
but I just can't let you know. I just can't let you know. But I just can't let you know.
Welcome, one and all. It is time for week 2 of ARC Indycar Season 5. We are live from Daytona International Speedway. Once again, this week, Keegan, Scott, and Will Weisbrot III bringing you all of the action today. Will, how are you doing today? Has it been a good week for you?
I'm doing great, Keegan. It's been a solid week. Been busy at the shop working on Indy cars. Can't really complain. I've had a couple rough races in iRacing myself, so I'm looking forward to hopefully some good racing here on an oval.
At least you've only had a couple. That is literally every race for me. Similar track conditions to last week as well. 21 degrees Celsius, bit of a moderate track temperature. This is about what you'd see from like the Daytona 500 on the NASCAR side of things. So this should be a pretty familiar track layout, like track temperature and weather-wise for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's a good thing. Already with these Dallara IR18s on ovals, you're going to have some pretty tight and intense racing at speeds upwards of 230 miles an hour. And the banking of 31 degrees here at Daytona International Speedway just facilitates that, really. Drivers are going to be able to carry a lot of speed through all four corners here, but also they're going to have to watch out for a little bit of dirty air, as always, which is a thing that's very prevalent on ovals. They should be able to go flat out if they've got some clean air, but they're going to experience some turbulence, and we might see some guys back off. We may not, and that may produce a few incidents, but I'm really excited to see how this all plays out today.
Yeah, this is going to be some very, very tight racing. I'm expecting a lot of pack racing, a lot of single file, close quarters racing too. And we're probably going to see a lot of drivers try and get risky and take it around the outside, which is something that we don't typically see with Indy cars on ovals. No, like even on typical 1.5 mile ovals that they might race at, it's still practically unheard of to go for an outside pass.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. These cars, especially with these aero packages that came out a few years ago, they're very difficult to pass on the outside because, as I mentioned a minute ago, the dirty air is there. It is a thing. It's a big deal. These cars can be hard to pass on super speedways because of that dirty air. So going around the outside is not always easy. With the high banking, it might make the job a little bit easier to pull off, but we'll see. I'm interested to see how these guys translate over from the road course last week at COTA to this oval, and see if we've got any oval aliens hidden, if we got any dark horses in the field that didn't necessarily do too well next week. I'm excited to see how it shakes up the point standings.
I believe we did actually have a couple oval aliens that we had previously talked about. JA Games and MLG God pulling out the front row tonight. And as well, a little bit of a preview into the race, folks. It is a 50-lap race here, but the fuel window, it's only about 25 to 28 laps. So we're going to see one stoppers probably from everybody here. And in addition, we are going to see speeds in excess of 235 miles per hour tonight, which is more than you'd even get at a typical Indy 500 race.
Definitely will be interesting to watch here as they leave the pit lane and follow the pace car out onto the track. This is the fourth race at Daytona International Speedway for the Apollo Racing Club. And Comrade Questions actually won the last two races here, so may not have been mentioned necessarily in the alien question, but he qualified P9th. Be looking at Question tonight to see if he can make some moves up towards the front of the pack.
Yeah, we might see him try and go for a couple little fantastic moves around. He might be one of those drivers that we see try and make something happen on the outside line. And you said it's going to be completely flat out. Aero is going to be literally everything here. But with them being able to go flat out and not slow down at all, it's going to be significantly hard to make passes on anybody. And it looks like our buddy Elliot Leach, who's actually the broadcaster, has decided to jump in on the action. No, I'm just kidding. It's just iRacing glitching out a little bit. But we have 20 drivers on the track tonight, folks. This is more than we were expecting, actually. And look at how tight those margins are on qualifying. Always fun to watch oval racing in IndyCar.
Let's see here what happens as we come towards the front stretch and go to the line.
We should see the pace car pulling off any second now. 50 laps here at Daytona International Speedway. It's going to be a rough one, folks. You better be buckled in. You better be ready to go. Pace car pulls off. Leader has the go. They have the control. Lights are on, and away they go. We are underway with Apollo Racing Club at Daytona. Already, leader and second place breaking off MLG God and JA Games. They're going to take it down into turn 1. So far, everybody keeping it clean through the tri-oval as well. Going out, already one taking the outside. Looks like that's David McCourt.
Looks like
Trying to
McCourt
file
almost
in.
got into it there. DePaul got a little loose there in turn 1. They're managing to stay clean.
So far, everybody following suit, forming into a bit of a single file back behind this lead pack. But so far, the top 6 or 7 are basically all just staying neck and neck with each other. It's not going to be hard to make a move if you're that close. Getting a little bit squirrely there. Maybe some 3 wide coming into the tri-oval? No, not quite. We're going to keep it orderly for now.
And McCourt looks like he's just sitting up there comfortable in the high line, staying out of the dirty air. He's using that banking to his advantage to be able to carry speed and hopefully stay out of trouble. I would say the two key pieces to this race here, Keegan, are one, of course, stay clean so you stay in the race. But also fuel is going to be huge. Like you said, we're probably going to be flat out the whole time here. Not much lifting. Fuel is going to be tight. It's supposed to be at least a one-stop race, but we'll see if anyone pulls any tricks out of the hat here. Looks like someone got loose down towards the inside. Was that McCourt?
I don't know. I didn't see. He did drop back quite a lot, and we do have a yellow. And I believe it was... I'm not sure who it was. We do have the first caution flag of the night, though. I believe we have a replay coming up here shortly for you folks. But yeah, you said McCourt was probably the one. I don't see him up there anymore. Who was it? Got down on the inside and a little... Ooh, yeah. Takes several with him.
I'm not quite sure who that was that took contact there, who those 2 cars are, but McCourt did have to go down to the apron. He lost a good bit of time.
Yeah, Kriegs ended up being the biggest offender of that one. Looks like taking 3 other people with him. Possum, David McCourt, and QQ Tank. They're going to exit this race a little bit earlier than I think they were hoping for. So first caution of the night. We thought they might be able to keep it clean, but it was getting real squirrely there for a little bit. And you know what? When you're at a super speedway racing in Indycar and it's double wide the whole way, that is bound to happen eventually.
Oh, for sure. And I think it's a big deal for these guys, obviously, who got wiped out, right? There are 2 faster pairs in this race, but the kicker is I don't believe the Apollo Racing League uses the lucky dog rule. So to be able to get their lap back is going to be quite the task. They'll be able to get back on track with that faster pair, and they should only be 1 lap down by the end of it.
Yeah, it does look like they're already a lap down. They've got to try and get out of the pits pretty quickly here as the pace car is coming out around the exit of turn 4. They're going to be able to beat it out is the question. And I don't expect to see anybody take this pit here. Maybe one taker? No, come on. That's Comrade Question who's faking that. And emphasis on faking it. There's no way he pulls... Wait, no.
He is taking it.
He is taking it. This
is
interesting.
Ja?
They
Looks
are
like Ja is as well.
They're definitely playing the tire strategy here too. They've got to be. They've done probably 3 laps on these tires at speed now, and they're thinking, oh well, might as well go grab more. Well, it's not going to hurt me too much. So Comrade Question kind of leading on his on-track ability here.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the only logical explanation I can think of as to why you would pit here is you don't really feel that the dirty air has been that much of a problem. You've only run 2-3 laps maybe on this set of tires, or they just want to top off on fuel and try and stretch it. They're thinking, maybe I go and get new tires, refresh, start in the back of the pack on the lead lap, and I'll be able to fight my way through the field, considering we can run multiple lines here, we can make some passes, and maybe we'll see some moves made by Comrade Question and Ja here in the near future when we go green again. I'd be keeping an eye out on them in the back of the pack.
Another crash replay coming up. Yeah, that was... It looks... So I saw one person was down on the apron. I believe that was McCourt. Came back up, and it was a bit of a messy entrance, and he just ends up collecting the field. He didn't quite LePage it, but he definitely collected quite a few cars in there. So David McCourt just got a little bit squirrely, and that's what caused that whole thing. Possum went with him. We already know Kriegs went with him, just taking out a lot of them.
Yeah, he definitely took out a lot of the field. I'm not sure where he re-entered the track there. Last I saw him, he was down on the apron a little bit loose, but it looks like when he came up the track, he drove straight up towards the wall. So that takes out quite a few cars. There's now 4 cars that are 2 laps down, and they're still in the pit box, so they must have had a long tow back to be able to get back into this race.
They are going to be given a lap back. I believe Kriegs is going to stay 2 laps down. No, he's going to go back up to 2. Nope, never mind. Our it's just glitching out on us. It just doesn't feel like working here. They are out of the pits though. It looks like they did they manage? They managed to get out before the pace car passed them by, so they're going to keep their lap.
I would be interested to see. I'm surprised they came out 11 and 12, but I do think Question and Ja are going to make some moves here. Like I said, if they did in fact take fresh tires, I don't know, but if they did, they may have an extra little edge on these guys here in front of them. I'd also be really keen to see how much MLG God can open up this gap at the front of the pack.
So here's the thing. We were discussing fuel windows. Everyone has to make one lap. Everyone has to make one stop. MLG God being towards the front it's not going to hurt him all that much, given that knowledge.
No, I don't think it's going to hurt him too much. It might hurt a little bit on if he's going to try and do any sort of fuel save to do some sort of overcut, which is highly unlikely on an oval. I know he knows what he's doing. My guess is he's going to stop somewhere right in that 25 to 28 lap window, maybe towards the latter end of it.
I think he might have to go towards the earlier, because if he's out in the front, he's going to be burning more fuel than JA Games behind him. Sorry,
he is, but he's also not going to have to lift off the throttle and deal with a bunch of... I see where you're coming from the fuel point of view, but from tire point of view, his tires are going to last a long time, and I think fuel will be able to last right up until that window.
All right, well, he is underway again. Green, 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 as we restart here on lap 7. Daytona International Speedway. And he does get out to a big jump, and they're all squirrely behind him in positions 4 through 8, it looks like. MLG got a big jump there, too. They are going to settle back into some semblance of order. It looks like they're going to go mostly single file with a couple people trying to jump out and make moves. I think I saw him. I might have seen a 3-wide back there, too.
Yeah, it looked like they went pretty wide back there as JA Games gets a huge run out of the draft on MLG God. They're now side by side.
If JA Games can keep it side by side here throughout the tri-oval, he's going to have a huge advantage going into turn 1. But it does look like MLG God is going to be able to pull back in front of him. JA Games is going to have to kind of set him up for another pass. But that did allow Cricket Sushi to come up and make a challenge at this.
I would not be surprised if we see him go 3 wide here into turn 3 after they go down the back stretch. They're starting to all get a run off of each other. I think they'll settle in a little bit, but MLG God doesn't seem to be pulling away too fast.
Big clustering behind him, and MLG God, yeah, you're right. He's not really pulling away, but he is kind of just holding steady that about 0.2 of a second gap, 2.2 of a second gap. He is getting reeled in a little bit by J Games though in like turn 1 area, and J Games might actually be warming up for a pass here coming off of turn 4 into the tri-oval if he can swing something.
Yeah, well, by the looks of it, from the small gap that MLG God is holding over J Games, you think there's not too much dirty air, but the fact that Games falls off in every corner and then catches back up on the long straights here, there's got to be some dirty air that's really affecting this front of the pack here, and I can't imagine how it is for the guys mid-pack that are all wheel-to-wheel, side-by-side, all 4 corners.
Something to keep an eye on here, folks, is that outside line might become a factor here later on if they can get a little bit more organized. They do get much better runs off of the exits of the corners, as we can see. They got a huge run on the field coming off of that one and really advanced their position up the way. But as of right now, they're still not quite in the best spot. Now we see more drivers jumping up to join them now.
As we get an onboard view from Matthew Rice here, taking the high line, and it looks like he falls off a little bit off the pack in that high line, but he's going to easily catch him on the straight as he carries more speed off the bank corner.
He does look to be lifting a little bit, I think, as he goes into these corners. Yeah, he's lifting a little bit on the back stretch and going into the corner. He is lifting. That's not a fuel save thing, probably. It's more just like he's trying not to hit the guy in front of him thing.
Right, and if you get too close, you get more of that turbulence, that arrow push, and it's going to shove you out towards the wall pretty hard, which it looks like is happening to the guy in front of him, which I believe is DePaul.
Yeah, you can't run nose to tail with these like you could in stock cars. These are very, very aero dependent. Either you are literally in his gearbox, or you are not, or you're having a really bad time, and you have to sit back probably a car length to a car length and a half to really let that dirty air come off you. DuPont's getting squirrely on the bottom row there.
Right, it's not like you can have your nose right up on the attenuator there under the rear wing the whole way and then try and make a move into the corner. You can be that close on the stretch for sure, but you're going to end up having to lift to avoid some of that air so you can carry it through the corner without getting loads of understeer. The only realistic way to make a pass in these cars is to have at least half of your car past your rear wheels, or else I just don't see it happening.
Looks like we do see Cricket Sushi. He is trying to get a move going. He is working there with the number 4. I'm not entirely sure who that is. I think it's DePaul, maybe? Yeah, I believe it's DePaul on the outside who is working with Cricket Sushi to get something done. And they are very slowly making progress. But every time Cricket Sushi gets a little bit unstable, that progress just goes right back away. So they're going to have to drive perfectly to make that outside line work.
Oh, that's for sure. And I think the pack racing, people are going to start to get a little bit of impatience, and you're going to see some moves made here. They're tight. You know, we never see these cars race at Daytona in real life, which would be amazing, but also way too fast and too dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to see Indycar's pack race, because that's not something you really get on ovals. You see a lot of great drafting and passing in real life, but you never get to see them run wheel to wheel for a number of laps consecutively like this.
You know who is being patient, though? That's Comrade Question back in 9th. If we can take a look at what he's doing back there. He is just being completely patient the whole way through. He's on the bottom line. He knows that's the dominant line right now. And he's looking to try and do anything he can to make a pass on somebody. So maybe not quite as patient as I originally thought, but he's won. He won here last season, and he's ready to do it again. He knows how to run Daytona.
And the season before that, so he's looking for a three-peat as he moves his way up. He's definitely staying pretty patient. The inside line is ideal, as you don't have to lift as much coming up the throttle.
Oh,
they're leaving enough space between the rows where they can ride up the track. But who is that getting a little loose? Is that Joseph DuPont?
Caution. I believe that was actually DePaul who was getting a little bit squirrely there, but we do have a caution. I'm not entirely sure what for. I didn't see any big smoke clouds in the back. Let's see. It was near the back of the pack. Oh, big swing in the back. We didn't even see this. 4 or 5 cars involved in that one. QQ Tank being the progenitor of that accident.
He puts it in the wall pretty rough there. I wonder, oh, it looks like he just got bumped high.
Might have been throttle, actually, he was the progenitor of that accident. But either way, got squarely towards the rear of the field. And now, though, you kind of start asking yourself some questions, because depending on how long this caution goes for, you might decide to pit. And I'm not sure if you're going to be able to take it the rest of the way. In fact, probably not. But is it close enough that you think you pit here under the safety car?
If I'm in this race, personally, no, I'm staying out. I would be shocked if we see anyone pit, and if we do, it would probably be someone towards the latter half of the pack on the lead lap. We could see Kiko pit, we could see Hallucinogen pit, we could see Jaw pit, but anyone up towards the front there, I don't think that's the right decision.
We could even see Comrade Question pit here. We've already seen he's more willing to pit than pretty much everybody else. He came in and took tires on that first one. Why not come in and take a free set of tires again here on this one? Because if you're near the front, their tires are going to be hurting towards the end of this, not to mention their fuel. But if you're Comrade Question and you come in and take the pit here, and you have those fresh tires again, you can work your way through this field and just pick them off cleanly.
And that's a good point. I'd still be shocked to see him pit only because he's ridden the inside line the whole time, to where he's probably not getting too much understeer. He's probably not sliding the fronts much at all. And it looks like he's stayed pretty clean. He's had a decent gap in front of him the whole time, so he's not having to do too much or work the rubbers too hard to get around anybody. If he pits now, then he's looking at a 3-stop race, which if he's got the pace that he's had so far in these first 18 laps, I mean, it's still he could get a podium off that, but I think if he stays out here, pushes his window a little bit further, he pitted on what, lap 4, lap 5? If he pushes it to lap 30 or lap 35, he's going to be looking really good here towards the end of the race.
Indeed. Well, I don't know if we're one to go yet. Are the lights out on the safety car? I haven't gotten a chance to see. Yeah, lights are out on the safety car, so we are coming back around to the green flag here. MLG God still in... Oh, sorry, the lights are on. Never mind, I couldn't see it from that angle. MLG God still in first place, though. He has led the majority of the race. But I will say, Jaw Games, he is getting so good of a run off these restarts and then being forced to settle in. He almost managed to pick off MLG God at the very beginning of the last stint. Do you think he has what it takes to get around him here?
If he gets a good run off the restart, I think it's very possible. I mean, obviously they're going to start up towards the wall. If he gets a good run on MLG God, you could see something here on the back stretch, but it's going to be very hard to hold that position on the pass unless you get the inside line. So if we see J Games go towards the inside line and MLG God lets him have it, then I think we might see a lead change.
We're not coming back around to the green flag yet either. Lights still on. There they go. They are out, so we will be coming back around to the green the next time around. And now, though, you do kind of have to worry about your pit strategy. We're going to be going green on lap 20. That gives you about 5 laps before you start hitting that fuel window. And that is super awkward. Do you see any of these guys try and stretch the pit strategy and maybe hope for another yellow? Maybe hope the guys at the back of the pack can't hold on to it?
Well, I think with the size of the field we have here, it's very likely we see another yellow, especially at these speeds and this close of racing. The guys running from 2nd place all the way down to 12th place, 13th place, they've not burned as much fuel as MLG God has. I think that window's going to stretch a little bit. We've got the 2 cautions we've already had, and they've been in the draft the whole time, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to push it to about lap 30. But I think they're just going to take it whenever the next caution comes out, as long as it's not the lap of the green flag here.
Finishing up the last pace lap, MLG God. He is a bit of an oval ringer, oval alien as he called himself last week. J Games, also another one. J Games got a good run at the beginning of the last stint. MLG God had to defend the bottom, and J Games almost got him on the outside anyway. Coming out of turn 4, the pace car will dive in. And it'll be all up to MLG God. There goes the pace car. MLG has the control of the field. He does get away. Kind of jumps it a little bit, but J Games was caught off guard. Is back, probably 3 or 4 car lengths from him. That's going to prevent him from getting that really juicy slipstream that he would want. It's all going to be dirty where he's at.
That is for sure. He's probably going to have to lift here once they get up to speed. Next lap comes around, but he's also getting sort of a run down the stretch here. He's closing that gap hard, but he looks to the outside. MLG is not going to give him the inside because he knows that's where he'll get past. Oh, and J Games pulled off the move anyways.
He kind of sat back a little bit, let himself get reeled in by that slipstream, and he does pull off the pass on MLG God. Now MLG God got to look for another one on the outside. It is going to be neck and neck going through the tri-oval. We're 3 wide for the lead. Going up the back of MLG God is Cricket Sushi. Cricket Sushi now on the outside as well. Going to turn in. He gets turned by somebody, and there's that caution that comes out at lap 21.
Looks like quite a few cars got dinged up there.
I think there were probably 2 or 3 And that was quite a few of the front runners. Cricket Sushi ended up getting a little bit squirrely on the outside. Couldn't hold it. And now you wonder. A bit of a replay. He got squirrely. He took out, I believe that was... Oh, I'm not entirely sure who that was, who he got contact with. But it does look like it was mostly just him, except for the other one who he made contact with, who we aren't sure what kind of damage they have yet.
I mean, to me, it looks like he sort of... Oh, no. Oh, it looks like he kind of held his line. And is that DuPont that comes up into him a little bit?
I don't know, but Netcode saved him, I think.
No, it is not DuPont.
It's Games getting a little bit saved by the Netcode. Wheel falls off, wheel comes back on. And now you really have to ask yourself the question, do I pit? It is lap 22. A pit now will get you to the end on fuel.
It definitely will, especially if cautions keep coming out like they have been here in this first half of the race. But also, it begs the question, do you stay out if you're MLG God, keep that lead, and don't risk losing any positions in the pit sequence, and you bank on another yellow coming out here within the next 10 laps? If it doesn't come out, you're pretty much done for. But if you pit now, you kind of cover yourself a little bit, but you know you leave yourself with some work to do.
I think if you're MLG God, you got to take the pit, but he's not going to do it. Games will lead the pit sequence in. He's followed up closely. I believe that's DuPont, who's right behind him. Comrade Question also going into the pit, as well as Matthew. Yeah, so we have 5 takers for the pit. David McCord also pitting as in the sequence as well.
I'm honestly surprised more guys didn't pit. I'm not too surprised by the move by MLG God. I think he's confident where he's at. He's confident another yellow will come out, like I said, and he's gonna bank on it. This is quite a risk, but he knows he's gonna have to defend his position here. People have been getting squirrely all night, so I think he's counting on someone making another move or mistake that ends up in another yellow flag where he can pit, finish this race on one stop, and keep the lead the whole time. He's not risking anything in the pit box, not risking losing any time at all down pit lane, which I think is quite a smart move on his part.
Yeah, indeed. But the thing is, he is going to have to pit here shortly, and he has been using more fuel up front than anyone else behind him. So he is going to be in a position, really uncomfortable position, where he both wants to pit and doesn't want to pit. He's going to have to come down. It'll probably be at about the same time as DePowell behind him, and Feeney, D-Stack, and Pop Dog, and Games as well. No, Games pitted, I'm sorry. Most likely it'll be that entire top 5 pitting at the same time, unless someone tries to overcut on MLG God, and then we have 3 different strategies rolling at the same time.
Right, and his window is closing for sure, but now with 3 cautions that have lasted almost half this race, he's probably got at least a third of a tank left and can probably stretch it another 8 to 10 laps at most. At most. If we go any longer than that, he's playing a dirty game. And DePaul goes into the pits there.
I think he's probably... So, he's pitting in the second to last lap of this, and I think I know why. I think he's doing it so he has a little bit of an extra buffer in terms of when he comes in, like, how big of a pit window he has. Because if he were to pit in the first lap, he wouldn't have been able to come up and lead the whole time and still be comfy on fuel. But now he can come up and take the lead for however long he wants. And he's been pretty good this entire time.
We see a few cars get the wave around there. They'll make it back towards the rear end of the pack as we go green. But I am interested to see where DePaul comes out of this.
Let's see. What number is DePaul on our reference sheet here? I actually don't see him on there at all, so... I believe he's number 4? Yeah, he's number 4. There he is. 11th is where he's going to cycle around to. Last man on the lead lap. Might be worth it.
Well, it's definitely a smart move if he can make it to the end of this race on fuel, which is going to be tight, but with yellows that we've seen, if they keep flying, he's going to be in a really good position over MLG God, as long as he stays in the draft and makes up plenty of time in track position throughout this next stint.
We do have one more lap of yellow to go. This is really helping MLG God right now. He's not going to be quite as hurting for fuel the rest of the way. Folks, if you are potentially looking to get some driver training in, Apollo Racing Club is sponsored by Driver 61. If you go over to Driver 61, you can put in the code ARC20. I'll have to get a confirmation on the code because I don't remember exactly what it was and we don't have it directly in front of us. But you can go over to Driver 61. ARC does have a discount code. I'm sure we'll get it for you here in just a moment. So, yeah, thank you to Driver 61 for sponsoring ARC for this IndyCar season. And have you ever used their services? They are actually really fantastic.
I actually have not, to be honest with you, but it's something that I'll definitely look into and I think would be a benefit to anybody.
Okay, there we go. We have the code now. It's ARC Driver 61 for 25% off there. So once again, thank you to Driver 61 for sponsoring ARC for this season. And so in the past four races, this is ARC's fourth race at Daytona. This is not something the IndyCar would typically do. And we've gotten to see a lot of how these cars behave under this kind of extreme speed that we don't see them hit very often. 235, that's extraordinarily uncommon, even for flat out tracks like Indianapolis Motor Speedway. How do you think that an IndyCar would differ in real life?
As to translating to Daytona International Speedway?
Yeah.
Well, they definitely would be running this fast. These green flags would be crazy and dangerous. It's basically the same reason we don't see them run Pocono anymore. Too high of speeds, too much pack racing. These aero kits have made it harder for the Indy cars to pass the last few years in real life, but they've also made it a lot easier to run side by side with high banking, which is not something the drivers are too fond of.
Yeah, I can imagine. We are under green now, though. Mark Feedy, he's trying to reel in MLG God, but doesn't quite have that kind of closing speed that we saw Games have on the last restart. He's not going to be able to get it done on the outside here, I don't think. He is side by side, but you've basically got to be leading at this point in order to get that pass done. Although he is going to keep it fairly close.
And he's definitely closing the gap. I think he's going to try and make a move here. I don't think he's comfortable sitting behind him the whole way. I think he's going to try and force him into pitting early, but at the same time, if I'm Mark Feeney, I want to stay behind MLG God, save that extra bit of fuel. Sure, you got to lift a little bit, but you stay in his draft down the straights, and you get the reference on him on when he's pitting. So you can kind of play off of his strategy a little bit.
Speaking of pitting, I think we're going to see MLG God probably break off here and probably go for the pit. Is he going to do it? No, he's not. He's basically got to pit on the next one, though. He's got to be running on fumes at this point. Down to the top 5 pit.
You guys go low down towards the double yellow and get a little bit loose, but they managed to keep the car in shape. Like we said, this is getting towards the end of the fuel window. Some cars are probably running on fumes, but again, those yellow flags came out and helped them save a little bit of fuel, so we'll see how long they can stretch this.
Bottom line, MLG God still not peeling off to go into the pits. He's going to lead the group of cars that's going to go in. Even with that yellow flag, though, he's still got to be hurting. He's out of the front, and he's barely had any aero assistance, except for those couple seconds where he was behind JA Games. And even with those yellow flags, you've got to think he's running low at this point, right?
I mean, like I said, he's going to be able to stretch it a little bit further, I think probably than we're assuming. If we stay green here, he's got to pit within the next 5 laps or so. But if we see another yellow, he's going in no matter what. it also depends here on if J.A. Games gets past him. If he doesn't like the dirty air, he's going to pit earlier, but I don't think we see MLG pit on green until he absolutely has to.
A little bit of a spectate on the top 5 here. Comrade Question has managed to work his way up to 5th. He took those tires, and that might be giving him a little bit of an advantage. And it does look like there's someone up there trying to take the outside line. I'm not sure who that is, but I don't think it's going to work out too well for him. Ah, there they go. They do peel off. On the beginning of lap 31 is when they peel off. So they got 30 laps out of that tank of fuel.
Which I think is pretty good, but J.A. Games has got to be pretty happy here. I believe he stopped earlier, topped off, got a new set of tires, and now he's leading this race or going back and forth with Matthew. But if J.A. Games stays clean, he may be good to go.
Look at that move up the center by Mark Feeney. And he's going to try and take it around the outside again. And he does have the momentum over J.A. Games here. He's going to challenge for the lead. Not quite able to complete the pass, though, but he is going to sit in second and nestle in there pretty well.
And we're still seeing guys run side by side around the whole track as they file in towards the backstretch and the front stretch as well. I think this draft is really helping these guys stay in the race. I don't think the high line is as fast as we originally thought.
No, I thought they might be able to get something done up there, but the draft on the bottom is just way too powerful because they can stick to that bottom the whole time, and they still don't have to let up at all. Look at the move by DePaul as he's going to push his way up to make a challenge for the lead around the outside. He actually has it for a second here. He needs to lead. He needs to be leading when they get to the.
And it looks like he beats him in the drag race.
Oh, he did. Look at that. DePaul makes the pass around the outside. He came out of nowhere tonight. One of our newer people to join ARC. And he is shocking everybody.
Now keep your eyes on Joseph DuPont here. He's poking his nose underneath J.A. Games. I think he's going to look to the inside. He's getting sort of a run, but if J.A. Games keeps showing inside, DuPont will have nowhere to go.
If you're in DuPont's position, you are in a very awkward spot. You don't want to really, let off of him too much to try and get a good run on him. But at the same time, if you don't let off of him a little bit to try and slingshot your way back through, you're not going to get a good run on him, and you're not going to be able to make that pass.
Right, especially when you have other guys like Mark Feeney up high, who has now dropped back. But that's kind of a freight train situation. When you're right on someone's gearbox there on the inside, you're probably going to have to lift due to dirty air, and you've got guys outside. People are going to start getting a run on you.
Speaking of getting a run, we have one around the outside. I believe that's Hot Dog? No. Wait. Not sure who that is. Just kind of hanging around the outside right now. Haven't seen that top four shuffle in it. I think is it Ona D-Stack? Might be.
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe they're trying to make a run around the outside. Oh, there we go. Move to the inside. They're all going to shift down to try and cover. Bit of a bad situation to be in on the backstretch. They are going to straighten it out before we get to turn 3, though. Couple lap cars might complicate this. I believe that's actually MLG got in front of them. Yes, it is. Mark Feeney just in front of him as well. MLG got potentially about to go a lap down. Ooh. DePaul getting a little squirrely in the front, too, putting J.A. Games in danger. Coming out of that turn, too, it is just a slaughter trying to figure out who's going to slot in where. DePaul going to try and get back around J.A. Games.
Well,
He
the way it
does.
looks like it's playing out is MLG God needs to bank on a yellow. Either way he went with the strategy. As someone gets
into the
bumped to the
wall.
outside, and we have contact.
And that's going to be a yellow flag as James gets turned around. I believe that was Feeney behind him as well. It was. As we see two drivers trying to get into the pits, we do have another yellow flag. Ona D-Stack is gonna be forced to tow, as is JA Games. He got just a little bit squirrely and then collected a couple other people, and that is GG for his race, unfortunately.
And it's a shame that he's probably gonna fall completely out of this race after he's been in P1, P2 most of the time. He looked pretty strong. His strategy was paying off. He looked like he was in a good position to go ahead and win this thing. And now we've got the two Oval aliens being MLG God and JA Games not looking necessarily too closely at a podium here. MLG God's got quite a bit of work to do, but he's going to get basically his lap back here. He wasn't necessarily lap traffic yet, but he's going to be back towards the front of the pack. And I'm interested to see if he can make his way back towards the lead.
I actually don't think he's going to get his lap back here. I think he's still back. Yeah, he is still not on the same lap as Ja, Comrade Question, Joseph DuPont, and DePaul, who are all currently on the lead lap, and those are the only four that are on the lead lap.
No, I think he's on the lead lap here.
Oh, there we go. It did
wasn't
update.
lapped
Yep,
yet.
it updated. It updated now. That ticker that you see up there, folks, is the same one that we are seeing in the booth here. So you'll have to excuse us if we aren't seeing the most up-to-date information.
So
yeah, MLG God. He's back on the lead lap, as is Mark Feeney now.
So based on what we've seen in terms of strategy and where we sit here on lap 39 under yellow, who's your pick to win if you're a betting man?
Comrade Question. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What is going on back there? Someone just wrecked under caution. FH Throttle looks like he was... What happened? Oh! He was trying to catch up to the field under caution and just ends up coming up the backside of, I believe that is the 33 of QQ Tank. What an unfortunate race for him. That is almost certainly going to be a points penalty as well for Throttle for lack of care under the yellow.
I mean, I think that's got to be a case of texting and driving.
Don't text and drive, folks.
I mean, what else necessarily causes that? He's going almost full speed under caution, catching the back of the pack, and unless he's not looking at the relative, he knows he's coming up on the back of him.
I mean, going full speed under caution, folks, that is perfectly fine as long as you're trying to catch up to the back of the field. That's fine. It's when your race control says, don't text and drive, folks. You heard it here first on ARC. But that is perfectly fine if you're trying to catch the back of the field. And in fact, I believe everybody remembers the famous case of when Pablo Montoya in the Daytona 500 about 10 years ago, trying to catch up to the back of the field under caution and ends up hooking it due to a mechanical failure up into a jet dryer and delaying the race due to fire.
Was definitely a crazy incident. It's honestly not something you see all too often, which kind of surprises me. But it is something we see maybe a little too often in iRacing.
It depends on your license in iRacing.
Right.
But let's not forget Indycar. Oh, speaking of which, oh no, Pop Dog is a rookie. Oh no. And FH Throttle is a C license. Once you get to C license, that's generally supposed to stop, but it is iRacing after all. Lights are off on the pace car, going into turn 3 for the last time under this caution flag. I'd like to thank you all, or sorry, turn 1 on this caution flag. I'd like to thank you all again for joining us here on ARC for this 4th season of the Daytona 5, or of the ARC Daytona 50, I guess is what we're going to call it from now on. No matter what, this is going to shake up the points.
Oh, for sure. I don't think, and I don't mean this to come across in a negative way, but I don't think any of these guys leading in the front 2 or 3 are necessarily who we expected. We knew Question was going to be good. DePaul was a late entry. We know DuPont is good on road courses. He's got good control of his Dallara IR18, so yes, I'm not too shocked to see him up there. But John MLG God are going to end up making a run back at this thing.
They might be able to. Although I will say, Joseph DuPont in a really great position to try and go win last week and come into this week and get a good podium finish. Later on in the pace car, it'll be... Yeah, it's probable at this point. He's been so solid all day and just been very patient too. DePaul has the control. He is going to jump out. Joseph DuPont's going to follow closely behind. He's going to try and get to the bottom of DePaul. He's right up on his gearbox. As we're going to see Comrade Question shoot around the outside. It's going to be 3 wide for the lead going into turn 1. Little bit squirrely. They somehow keep it straight. Comrade Question goes around the outside. The Daytona Master of Apollo Racing Club in the lead of here at Daytona.
And DePaul looks to take his lead back around the outside of Comrade Question as DuPont and MLG God both get runs on both the low and high line. But it looks like Question might be able to stick this lead out. No. DePaul is getting a run.
His run's about to end, though. I believe he doesn't have enough momentum to get around him cleanly. Does he? He's going to drop down to the bottom. Cuts him off. Barely able to stay in front. Comrade Question has to check up.
And it looks like MLG had quite the run there to make a convincing attempt at taking the lead, but the dirty air pushes him out towards the wall and he has to let off as he drops back to P4.
Oh no, Comrade Question's about to get freight train too. Joseph DuPont looking to reclaim his P2. Mark Feeney looking to get involved here in this front 4 as well. Front 5, excuse me.
And I think Mark Feeney's in a good position here as DuPont and Question are going to have to run side by side throughout this whole thing. Well, Question loses a little bit of time. If I'm Question, I'm dropping down to that inside line the next time that gap opens up. Of course, you've got to do it smartly so you don't take out Feeney or anyone else behind you. But if you're Question, I don't think you're winning the race from the high line for any of those guys up there.
No, he's got to make a bold move here. He's got to make it quick. Because Mark Feeney is now starting to shut him out. And I believe that's MLG God or Ja behind him who is ready to close off that gap as well. If you're Comrade Question, you've got to drop down to the bottom right now. And he does. Fills in that gap.
And he shoves it in there, which is going to be tough for MLG God now, but Question pops back out to the outside.
3 wide here going down the backstretch. This is going to be messy going into turn 1 if they can't keep it straight. Comrade Question in the middle. He bumps MLG God in, gets bumped out himself. That's another caution at lap 45.
Wow.
Matthew Rice involved in that as well. The final podium man from last week. What happened here? Comrade Question just gets a little bit squirrely, gets up into MLG God, and then I believe he made contact with someone else on the bottom, and I don't know who that was who ended up sending him up into the wall. Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate.
I'm not quite sure who he went down into, but he bounced off of him pretty hard. Ends up ending his race and that of a couple other drivers here tonight.
He kind of got stuck in the middle there. Never a good position to be in at Daytona, no matter what series you happen to be running. Indycar included in that.
Oh, for sure, but I think even though we've had a lot of cautions here, we've seen some great racing. Mark Feeney has looked strong here towards the end, but Joseph DuPont is in a great spot. DePaul is going to have a tough time on these final couple laps when we do go green again to try and hold that lead and stick it out for the trophy here.
I'm not entirely sure if we are running with green-white checkered rule here in ARC. So we'll have to get some clarification on that. But it's going to be very few amount of laps as we come back around to the green flag. As we see this pace car still not lights out, which means at the bare minimum, if there is no green-white checkered, it's going to be starting with 1 lap to go. Well, sorry, 2 laps to go on lap 49.
There is no green-white checkered in the rule book, but with the timing of this, we may see a green-white checkered by coincidence with the lap count.
No green-white checkered then in the rule book, but it'll still be a 2-lap shootout. DePaul, DuPont, and Feeney in the Catbird seat here. It is going to be a 2-lap shootout for the win here, as we will be going green at lap 49. Look at how many cars have been taken out of this race. Only
Quite
the top
a few.
5 are on the lead lap.
I'm shocked by how many cars have not managed to stay on the lead lap. We've had quite a bit of contact as people have tried to make risky moves to get to that bottom line, as it really does show its true advantage.
This was a really ugly incident, really unfortunate incident. But this one, I believe, was our first one in the race. A lot of carnage here today at Daytona. I believe that was the one where, I forget who it was, came back up and took Kriegs out in the middle of the field.
Yeah, that was McCourt who went a little low there and got loose.
Yeah. And QQ Tank. He's had such an unfortunate day. This was his first one where he just got taken out and got a little bit loose and just kind of ended up wrecking it that way. And then as well, later on, just gets run into the back of under caution. There's Cricket Sushi. That's how he exited this race early. And we're taking a couple other cars with him. That outside line has been treacherous today. Nearly every single wreck has come from that.
And here's the one we had under caution where I believe QQ Tank, correct? Just
Yep. FH Throttle LePaged crew. Well, no, sorry. FH Throttle ran right into the back of QQ Tank. That is almost certainly going to be a penalty. Wait, lights are on? Are we going to see a 1-lap shootout for the win here?
I think we are. Like I said, I think we're going to end on a coincidental green-white checkered, not by the rule book, but this 1-lap shootout is going to be very interesting to watch. It's all about if DuPont can get a run off the green flag when it's thrown, and if Feeney can keep up with him and make some sort of move. DePaul is going to have a tough time. He's got to make sure to defend that inside line, but also stay clean. We're going to see some risky moves made here.
100%. 1-lap shootout for the win. That's not something that you see very often on ovals. No matter whether it's IndyCar, NASCAR, Indy Lights, it doesn't matter. And it's going to be fast and furious. These top 3, I feel, are the ones who are going to be able to pull it out. Feeney's going to have to try real hard, but DuPont, if he plays this restart right, he can get that lead before they get back around to the trial.
And the lights are now off, which confirms we will have that 1-lap shootout we were talking about.
Oh boy. Get ready, folks. Buckle your seatbelts. This is going to be a banger of an ending. Wait, is Comrade Question still on the lead lap? He is. Kudos to Comrade Question. Barely able to keep it, but he's still there.
Now, do you think MLG God makes a move here, knowing he's one of the strongest on ovals in this series? He knows he needs as many points as possible. Do you think he risks it to try and get a podium finish, or do you think he kind of hangs out where he's at and makes sure he gets all of these points? The guys
Honestly,
behind him aren't fighting for position, so I wouldn't be surprised if he if he tries to make something happen, but also it could brutally hurt him.
I think he's gonna look for a hole, but I don't think he's going to be too eager to fill that hole if you see what meaning. He's not gonna take any chances. If he sees something open up, yeah, he'll go for it, but he's not gonna go for anything that, like, he's not gonna make an opportunity for himself. He's gonna take them, but not make them.
Right. And we're looking to go green here as the pace car will drop off shortly.
Yep.
And
There
DePaul
goes the
will
pace
lead
car.
this field to the final lap shootout in this race here at Daytona International Speedway. And here we go, green.
Oh no, another wreck already. Is that going to bring out the yellow on the final lap? DePaul's going to try and keep it off of DuPont. DuPont's going to have to get in front of him. DuPont has the bottom. They're 3 wide for the lead. DuPont loses it. He hooks it a little bit. DePaul, it's his race to win.
And I think we
DuPont
caught
hits
a
the
glimpse
wall.
there. DuPont went up into the wall.
It's Feeney and Paul here. Feeney's going to have a run going into turn 4. Goes to the outside. Does he have enough to get it done? And Comrade Question now once again in the question. 3-way battle for the lead. Coming back around to the checkered flag. Any bold moves, gentlemen? No. DePaul, he's going to win at Daytona.
And I believe Mark Feeney finishes P2 with Question making a strong, as we see someone just go full on
MLG
Rocket League. Comrade Question makes a comeback run to finish P3 and John P4. Wow, I am out of
what an
breath.
ending. What an ending. 1 lap shootout for the win. Certainly did not disappoint, but our winner is DePaul. Congratulations to him. He was strong the entire way. Stayed up near the front the entire race. Avoided all of the nasty wrecks that we saw that took out the rest of the field. Celebrate on those letters, DePaul. You earned it today. Rounding out the podium, we have Mark Feeney and Comrade Question. Comrade Question not going to be able to three-peat, but he does get on the podium for a 3rd year in a row.
Which I don't think with the race that Comrade Question had, he can complain too much about somehow sticking it on the podium here. He had quite the day, and he made a pretty convincing run to be able to finish it off like that. I'm pretty impressed with Comrade Question here.
Well, here you have the final standings from today. DePaul coming out with the victory. Mark Feeney in 2nd. Comrade Question in 3rd. Jaw and MLG God rounding out the top 5 as well. Joseph DuPont going to finish in 6th. Down a lap. Not going to do too great for him in the standings, but at the same time, he's still going to retain that lead because the 2 behind him, David McCourt and Matthew Rice, they both DNF today.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty rough start to the season for David McCourt. We know he's fast on road courses, so the schedule proves that he's able to make up some ground. I'm really looking forward to the following weeks of the season to see if David McCourt can make some sort of push up in the points. It's still early. It's still possible, but the last 2 weeks have not been ideal for David.
No, and he did come in P2 last week at Coda, but this week not being able to finish at Daytona, that's never good. But we are going to have an interview here coming up with DePaul here in just a moment as we're going to get into the process of dragging him in. But what a race. What a final lap. 1 lap shootout for the win here at Daytona. That is so fun to see. So let's get our podium in here. I just need to get confirmation from production that we are ready to go with our podium. So, Will, Daytona's done. We know who our oval stars are now. DePaul coming out of the woodwork to just absolutely blow everybody away on ovals. Next up is Road America, which is one of the most technical, well, not necessarily technical, but more like however much guts you have to send it into those tight corners, those hard braking zones. Do you think that it's going to be better or worse for these oval stars? Or do you think that the road stars are going to have the advantage?
Well, on one end of the spectrum, I'd like to think it's going to be a little bit better for the oval stars, given that most of the corners at Road America are pretty high speed. You've got the backstretch and the kink, which are high speed, great for drafting, as well as the uphill front stretch. But at the same time, those tight corners are going to be tough for them. Yeah, the track is high speed, but the big braking zones are what's going to make it really tough for these oval stars to kind of pass at Road America here in 2 weeks.
So that is, it's one of those things where it's like, do you take the technical skill of the road runners, or do you take the like more confidence and like really willingness to take a risk into those high braking zones of the oval stars? It's kind of a trade-off, and it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic here in 2 weeks. But we do have our winner here with us. DePaul, welcome to Victory Lane. Congratulations on your win at Daytona here today.
Thank you. It was a great time racing. I've had a lot of fun, and I'm really happy we managed to pull it off today. I was getting kind of nervous there at the end.
I mean, a one-lap shootout, who wouldn't be nervous there? But you stayed up towards the front the entire time, and we saw people getting really squirrely. Can you talk about like that kind of pressure that everybody up front was feeling there today?
I mean, that's exactly what it is. You never know what the people around you are going to do, and one person makes a mistake, and it just cascades right down. But we had a strong car, and the pit strategy was, I think, really helped us a lot, because we were planning on going for it, and I made a last second call to jump in the pits, and then within a couple laps we were shooting right back towards the front, and that's when I made the move for the lead and held on to it, and yeah, they were really strong there at the end. DuPont, I know, was right on me there, and got a little bit nervous going into turn one on that last lap, and I think we almost made contact, and I think it scared him a little bit and got him upset, but yeah, we held on to it, and yeah, everyone from where we were up in front, everyone was doing a really good job keeping it clean, or as clean as you can.
Yeah, just barely. You were all squirrely coming out of turn 4 going into the tri-oval there. So great job today. Will, do you have anything for our winner today? Any questions?
Well, my main question is, we didn't see you on the original entry sheet. Was this something you decided to do last minute?
I'm going to be a part-time runner this year. I've not often open on Thursdays, and I've only got so many available times, and so this one came up, and it just happened to be an open spot on my schedule, and so I decided to run with it. And you can't say no to a race at Daytona. I'm a little bit disappointed I won't be at the race next week, because Road America is my home track, and I would love to be able to race there.
Well, that is a shame, but it was great to have you tonight. You were a blast to watch, and we hope you get a similar situation one of these upcoming Thursdays to hopefully run another oval. You looked pretty promising.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it'll be a lot of fun if I can make it again. I'm going to try for it.
Sounds good, man. Great race. Congrats on the win. Like I said, it was awesome to watch.
Yeah, thanks.
So one more thing here, DePaul. You said that you're only going to be a part-time runner this season, and I'm going to say this much. That's a crying shame, because I would love to see you race some more. You really had a tendency to kind of stick your nose in there and manage to figure out a way to get through up into first place. You were fighting MLG God pretty much the entire race as well, so quite a shame that we're not going to see more of you this season.
Yeah, thanks. I was trying to basically just you don't win races by being too cautious, but I just wanted to make sure I was there at the end, and a few times I was hanging back, and then I saw a gap and decided to go for it, and that's really what paid off in the end, because once I was at the front, it just held on. But hopefully later in the season or next season you'll see me, and you'll probably see me in the ACC League next season for sure.
Well, that is awesome. Thank you very much for joining us here for this interview, DePaul. Congratulations on the win. Go celebrate with the rest of the boys in ARC, and good night to you. Have a good one, dude.
Thanks, you too. See ya.
See ya. And to everyone out there at ARC, thank you all very much for joining us tonight here on ARC. Hope you enjoyed the ending there, as that was a heck of a fun race to be at. Will, thank you for joining me in the booth too.
Thank you, Keegan. It's my pleasure, and thank you to everyone for watching. Still kind of learning how this thing goes here with the commentary, but I'm looking forward to the rest of this season, looking to see what ARC has to offer in terms of championship.
Well, it's great to have you in the booth with me watching all the action. And folks, don't forget, we'll be joining... I can't speak, apparently. Join us in 2 weeks here as we're going to take a bit of a week off for the Thanksgiving break in the United States. But December 2nd, Road America is our next race here at ARC right here on twitch.tv/Apollo Racing Club. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you all then. Have a good night, everybody.